dudes and dudettes? It's Vok250, and if you don't know who I am, I'm just like a regular gamer like you. I'm in university, I'm cheap, and my channel is about showing you some great games that are at great prices, and the odd time I treat myself, get a really expensive brand new release game. So this week I got Brink, and I'm going to do a little review, but I'm going to try and talk about more of the stuff that you haven't already seen tons and tons of videos about on YouTube, and talk about some of the misconceptions, some of the things that I found reviewers were way off, and I just like having fun. So I'm just going to talk about that, and this isn't anything professional. My channel's laid back. I'm just a relaxed guy, so I'm just going to talk about the game for a little bit. So this game's a lot of fun. It's one thing that some people have been they've been comparing this game to other games, saying it's a combination of other games. It's just, once you play the game, you realize that's not true. It's a whole new game. It's completely different. It's like nothing else you're ever gonna play, but it's a lot of fun. It took me a night or two to get my head kind of wrapped around how to play this game before I started doing good. And even going back and watching some of my gameplay, which I recorded, I noticed that things I could have been doing better, where instead of throwing a frag grenade or shooting into a crowd, I could have been reviving down teammates around me. I play as the medic class right now. That's what I'm building. It's always been my favorite in team-based games, so that's just kind of how I started up in this one. Okay, so this game, it's by Splash Damage, and developed by them, published by Bethesda Softworks and id. It runs on id Tech, and I thought that was interesting. I like id Softworks, so it was interesting to see them in. Some major things I noticed when looking around on YouTube recently, because I love watching YouTube. Some people seem really confused, people doing let's plays and like commentaries. I don't think they bothered to read the user manual. I went through the manual and or the instruction manual, whatever you want to call it, and it's decent. It's not a hefty one. It just goes over everything. It does go over everything. After reading it, I had no questions. And things like the rank, it's the thing with the star. It's what lets you choose your abilities. I'll show it at the end. I'll show the customization and the abilities. Right now I'm just showing gameplay. And the rank, you rank up one rank up to rank 5. It's every 5 levels gets you a rank. So that's what that works. It has nothing to do with the challenges. Challenges, every time you play it and beat it, you get the first difficulty worth of bonuses, which are things like attachments for guns, and sometimes you get a whole new gun. And then every time you beat it, you can play it again, and next time you play it, it's a harder level. When you beat that, you get the next thing. So once you've unlocked everything, you can go back and play the hardest level again, and it puts your time that you beat it onto leaderboards. And so also online, there's the stats and things online, it says on the main menu. I tried to find it on the site. I couldn't find it. It wasn't very obvious to me. Maybe it was on the wrong spot, but I mean, I couldn't find it, and I'm on the internet all the time, so they gotta work on that. Another interesting thing about this game that I noticed is you have to do a lot of teamwork. It was like, I don't play much Call of Duty or games like that. I've always played a lot of Team Fortress 2, so I was ready for teamwork. This takes it to a whole another level of teamwork. I spend equal amounts of time shooting as I do just dispensing health now. And it's like, if you don't do that, you won't win, because if your whole team isn't spending a ton of time doing the teamwork stuff, using their abilities, you're just not going to get anywhere. Like, you have 2 or 3 clips of ammo in your main weapon, you need those soldiers giving you ammo, or you're just not going to be able to do anything effectively. And this is another thing I noticed, another misconception I saw people saying, is they're saying you have infinite grenades, and it's kind of true, but not entirely. You have this supply meter. It's on your left side of the screen. You've watched some other videos from Brink. They're pretty good. They'll show you that. But for those of you that are lazy, it's on the bottom left side of the screen. It's like the curve around the ability thing. And as that drains, you drain like one section of that every time you throw a grenade or use an ability. So you have to wait for that to refill. That takes a long time. So you don't have infinite of anything. You have to kind of conserve and tactically choose what you're going to do. Other interesting things. I'm not going to review the online of this, or the multiplayer, or even the single player, because it's all meant to be cooperative with people online. The single player, one thing I will say about it is I found the AI to be really hard. I had a long time, had to do levels 2 or 3 times over again, just playing on normal. The AI were really good. It was a tough game. It seemed like, after being online, I noticed the AI were just as good, if not better, than most of the online players. And they didn't seem like crazy Counter-Strike 1.6 AI where it's like crazy bots. It was just they seemed good. They made good decisions. But my friend, he wasn't connected to the internet, so I'm wondering if this is something that happened with the update. The update you get when you'll first put the game in and first run it if you're connected to the internet. He said his AI sucked. It took him one night to beat the campaign. So I'm not sure if that has to do with the update, but his AI, he said they were horrible. And they were like retarded and glitchy and stupid, and it took him like only a few hours to beat the whole campaign, which for me, it took me a few hours to get the hang of the first few missions and beat them. I had trouble. I found it a challenge and a lot of fun to try and beat those missions. The online, I can't say much about it because right now the demographics, and there's a lot more, the demographics aren't what they're going to be a few months from now, because there's a lot of people who've gone out and bought this game. A lot of people, even when I went up to the store to get it, I spent a few days at EB checking out the deals for you guys, just to see if there's anything new, because you know, I'm all about the cheap games. And no, there wasn't anything new, except Gears of War. Both of those dropped down in price by $5. But while I was out there, I saw a bunch of like kids come with their parents and get like Mortal Kombat and Brink and Portal, and their parents would just buy them all right there. I don't know how much these people are going to play if like 3 months from now, these console kiddies, as my friends like to goof around, we call them, they'll probably not be on in a few months. They'll be bored of it, they'll be on something else. So that's where the demographics for the first few months of a new online game, you got a lot of people playing a game that aren't going to be there, that just won't be there down the road. So there's a lot more strain on the servers, causing more lag and things like this, and a lot of people that are just change the online play and how the community is. So I'll review that later on when it's stabilized a little bit and it's more what the game's going to be like in the long run versus just the right now new release time period. It's interesting, the classes and abilities. You got 4 classes, and that's what you can choose some abilities for all of them and abilities for your specific class. Your abilities come from your you get 1 ability point every level, and there's only 20 levels. 20? Yeah, only 20 levels, so you're only going to get 20 of those, so you can't pick all the abilities, so you kind of got to build a class. Or an all-rounder, but he won't be as good as your particular class. One thing that's different is your classes aren't what does your health, your speed, and your weapons. Your health, your speed, and your weapons is your body type. Now you have to unlock your body type by playing the game and leveling up. I think it's like level 7 you've got both unlocked or something, somewhere around there. But anyway, that's another thing, another misconception I've seen is people saying the operative is the light guy that runs fast and uses a sniper rifle and stuff like that. He's not. I've seen operatives online and even sometimes on my team who are a big fat heavy guy with the chain gun, and they often do better because they can, while they're hacking, if someone comes up to them, they can't just kind of shoot them a few times and knock them down. They come into the room expecting to find some little guy who's run in there and started hacking. Walk in the room and there's a guy with a chain gun. Don't expect that one. And sometimes it just works really well. Depends. You need strategies, different things like that. It's a weird game that way. It's fun. And then your weapons, you can pick four-ish attachments. It's different for every weapon. It's basically where you'd have rails real life on a gun to attach stuff. And obviously you can't have a silencer and a muzzle thingamajigger at the same time. You can only choose one, but you can have as many other attachments as you want that like fit on the gun all at the same time, real life, kind of that way. But they have negative effects and good effects. Like a big scope makes it harder to like just take out your gun. Like if your pistol had a big scope on it, I don't know why you'd put it there, but you might. It makes it harder to just whip out your pistol and start shooting. So there's like negatives and positives to each one. So you gotta choose like tactically. This game's got some great longevity because there's lots of unlocks, and even once you've done it with one character and you're going online, say your character's built like a medic, like my class, but you want to go online and play as a big fat soldier guy, you're gonna have to start a whole new character, because unless you want to, you can't just change it up. You can change your class on the fly, but you can't change the way you've built your character. And you're probably gonna want to make a few too, because the customization of your clothing and your weapons is just a lot of fun. I was having a great time with it. I spent my first hour doing that. Oh, I gotta talk about that. You may have noticed it looked like loading, how you had to load every single item. I know I noticed that when they were first demonstrating it on YouTube, some of the videos. Once you've loaded the item, the next time you go back in the menu later on, as long as you haven't turned off your Xbox, or exited the game, I think, as well, every time you go back through the menu, it should just flip through those clothing items super fast, no loading time. I noticed that. Loading time in between the missions, there's dialogue that explains storyline. The dialogue's actually longer than the loading screen, so you'll find yourself listening to the dialogue and then you'll look down and press to continue will already be there. So I didn't find that to be a big deal at all. Maybe once you've beaten the game a bunch of times, but loading was fast for me. I installed it. It worked fine. Next thing, this one is a really interesting one. This is kind of the last thing I got written down here to talk about. This is just something I personally noticed. There's the weapons and with the good stats are ugly as shit. So it's almost like you have to choose between good stats or looks. Right now I'm using an assault rifle that has, like, if I was to go down one, the gun underneath the one I'm using is noticeably better statistics. It shoots faster, it's more accurate, it has less recoil, and does more damage. But my gun looks way better, so I chose that. And the other thing is, if you wanna change your body type and be a fast guy, specialized fast person, or specialized heavy, big health with a chain gun, you're either gonna be a fat or this scrawny little guy. So you almost have to give up some looks and some customization to be able to get those better stats and specialties. It's just curious that way. That's just something I noticed. The only other thing I noticed is some people complaining about stuff like they found the aiming really weird, or they found that there was a weird auto aim feature and weird things like this. You can turn that off in the options menu. Often in games reviewers will complain about stuff that if you go into the options menu, it's right there. You can change it right there in your options menu. So you gotta read your manual and you gotta look through your options menu if you want to get the most out of your game, because otherwise you'll be missing stuff. But that should be common knowledge, I would think. And objectives, you got a whole bunch of different objectives. You saw that in the gameplay. There's like capture command, pose, different things. You can choose it, all that kind of stuff. You've seen it before in other videos, so I won't bother to talk too much about that. There's not a whole lot of guns, I noticed, but I mean, there's enough and you can customize them, and I'm hoping that more will come. So that's not a big deal. I didn't find at least. And another thing I noticed that people were wondering about is what options you got for online, for like multiplayer, things like that. There's a lot of customizations you can do. There's campaign, there's free play, and there's stopwatch, and those are detailed in your manual. But if you read it, free play, you have options that are like team deathmatch. They're just kind of hidden. It's there's standard, advanced, competition, old school, and custom. So you can change up how the game plays. So if you want to play more of a team deathmatch style, I think you still have some objectives you have to do, but you can change it up a little bit so it's more team deathmatch like. And I'm not sure exactly how much you can do. I didn't look at that so much. I've been doing more single player and playing co-op with friends than online, because right now it's clogged up, and let them work out balancing issues. But anyway, that's pretty much it for this game. It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it to you. I'm having a great time. That's it for this. See you guys later.